My name is Bart Hess. I'm a designer from the Netherlands, or artist, I don't know how to describe myself anymore. My studio is based in Eindhoven, design capital of the Netherlands. And I would describe that my practice is all about material and the body. So there are different ways to combine these two in film, costume, textile, performance, installation, art. I show 4 video works, and what links the works is that they all use the body and a certain material to tell a story. So that I hope that you don't really get into with your head, but more with the gut feeling. What I always try is to tell a lot of different stories or feelings in one film. So a viewer can put their own story in and also relate in a different way. And the reason that I use the body is that you very easy can relate to that body. So you can, hopefully, if you see the films, you get a physical reaction while looking at it. I think that is something that it's instinct of a human, especially when it's related to a material and how it goes over the skin and maybe very subtle things that you can't pinpoint, but they are there, tells the story, communicates the feeling. Trial and error is a big thing in my work, and learning or celebrating mistakes. What I also like is just to start working, think and work at the same time. Digital artifacts that I show here came from the idea of casting my body in a big block of wax. So I was melting the wax, putting my hand in, and of course it's super hot. My reaction was to cool it down with water, and then this crystallization came there. And I thought, oh wow, this is much more interesting than my original plan. So I really dived into the technique of pouring and sort of 3D scanning, maybe, or 3D printing, but very low tech with the hot wax and the water. Many times I look for manipulating the materials, and it transforms in a way that the viewer doesn't believe their own eyes anymore. When I start playing around with materials, there's one point that the material is changed so much that some sort of alien matter gets created. I like this feeling of getting attractive, repelled at the same time. I use materials that I think as a human, you just want to touch. You know, people are playing always with having a dinner conversation, and does at least one person put their finger in a candle, or you play with paper when you're a little bit nervous. So these materials, I think, are very playful. I do get a lot of responses of people that want to be in my performance, getting dipped in hot wax, and then I explain, of course, how it's a little bit dangerous. You have to be practiced, but then, okay, and then they're like, okay, maybe not. So a feeling like, oh, I actually want to be that person, you know, but also being a bit afraid of being that person. I'm not Florence, so I don't know the city that well, but I can imagine that people forget about these spaces, sort of. Or you know that they're there, but you can never enter. You have this whole building in the city, and now it's filled with art, and so that there is an opportunity to step in and sort of getting overwhelmed by the spaces, and hopefully the art as well, but in here, the space. And because it's so raw, you really can put another feeling than you get as in being in a museum. So it's not clean, it's not polished. You know, here you have to enter from the basement. It immediately sets an atmosphere for your work, I guess. These spaces are of course not built as a gallery or a museum, so you can do other things with it. For me as an artist, it's nice to see my work in this kind of spaces. Well, maybe then I stay a little bit in my field, which is materials, so part of it. And at the moment, I'm building my own house. I'm building in the Netherlands. And thinking about the future, it's very important, of course, to think about resources and materials, but also how they age. Looking here, you know, can you say that this aged well? I think it did. But yeah, you hear the construction and you think, okay, there's a lot of energy needed to develop this into a new way of working or exhibition spaces and stuff like that. So if you develop new buildings, that's important to think about like how the spaces and the materials get looked at in 50 years or 100 years.